What's up guys, it's Joe with J Blake Photo. I just want to say right off the bat that I am recording this video in the midst of the coronavirus COVID-19 global pandemic. In fact, right here in Las Vegas, right here in Nevada, the governor just shut down all non-essential businesses. So it is crazy out there. Please, please stay safe, stay healthy, follow the guidance of health professionals out there. And if you can, stay home. If you're able to, please, please stay home. But in today's video, I want to talk about some of the information that's been leaking out of Canon, maybe leaked by Canon, about the unannounced, still very much rumored Canon EOS R6 full frame camera. Now, just a reminder, if you like videos like this where we talk about specs and new cameras and rumors on all that sort of thing, as well as some of the other videos that I do, how-to videos. I do videos on photo shoots that I'm on, as well as some occasional mountain biking videos. Go ahead and hit the like button, and if you're not already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. When you hit subscribe, hit the bell. That way YouTube lets you know that I am making new content. Also, go ahead and find me over on Instagram. I am at jblakePhoto. I'm posting photos from my recent trip to Maui, as well as my trip to Zion National Park, where I just got back last week. I kind of want to go back there if I can. And I will continue to be posting on Instagram some of the photos as I get through them. I have a lot of stuff to get through from those two trips. Unfortunately, my trip to Europe got canceled, but I will continue posting from some of the great photo shoots that I've done so far this year. With all that out of the way, let's talk about this camera. First of all, let's talk about the name. So what we're hearing is that it's going to be called the R6. And with the R5 in the press conference and in some of the information out of Canon, they're clearly calling it a 5 series camera, which puts it right in line with the 5D. So we'll have the 5D and the R5. And so with that, we're not really going to be all that surprised when they come out with a R6, which would be in the family of the 6D Mark I and 6D Mark II. Hopefully that means that not too far down the line, we'll be getting an R7 to match up with 7D Mark I and the 7D Mark II that has now been discontinued. And the assumption is a little further down the line, we'll end up with an R1 to complement the 1D series. Now, the great thing about the R naming scheme is that unlike the D naming scheme, you can actually come out with an R3 or an R4 that would be more powerful than an R5. As you know, the Canons go up in quality and power as they go down in numbers. You couldn't really come out with a 3D or an EOS 4D. It just sounds too weird, but you can definitely come out with an EOS R4. I don't think they're going to be able to come up with an EOS R2. It sounds too much like R2D2. So now let's talk about the specs. Now, in a previous video, I did talk about some of the leaked specs already, but now we have some additional information, and I want to go over that as well. First things first, let's talk about the sensor. We're hearing that it's going to be a 20 megapixel sensor. Two interesting things about that. Number one, smaller than the 40-ish megapixel sensor that we're rumored to get with the R5, but it also lines up directly with the sensor that's coming out in the new 1DX Mark III. I don't think that Canon would develop two completely different 20 megapixel sensors for a full frame camera. So my thought is that we're either going to get the 1DX Mark III sensor or some version of it in this mirrorless camera. That also makes sense because it's going to be paired with similar imaging hardware. This camera is going to come with IBIS or in-body stabilization, combined with the electronic stabilization that they already offer in their full-frame cameras, as well as the image stabilization that's available in the RF lenses. This camera will have a considerable amount of stabilization. You should be able to shoot both photo and video in some pretty shaky handheld environments. This is also pretty big because this means that Canon will finally be able to compete with Sony in what we think this is going to be about the $2,000 price point, so it can compete with the A7 III with in-body stabilization for $2,000 or less. This is something that the EOS R really got hit pretty hard with. It's definitely going to be able to compete in the full-frame enthusiast market. Video spec wise, we are looking at 4K 60 frames per second, and potentially one of the new rumors that we're getting is that it'll actually shoot full HD at 120 frames per second. Now the EOS R doesn't even do that. It shoots 120 at 720p, which I've actually used. It's not too bad, but 1080p is definitely going to be better and a step up. Now there's no mention in the leaks about whether or not there will be a crop or what the sensor usage will be here, although due to the lower megapixel rating on the sensor and also the fact that the EOS R is going to be able to do 8K full frame without a crop, my assumption here is that 4K 60 and HD 120 at full sensor readout should not be a problem for Canon, since it sounds like they've gotten their imaging hardware under control. We're now hearing this camera will definitely be coming with dual card slots, which is interesting since it's also rumored to be coming with a body similar to the EOS RP. So that's quite a small package to be throwing 2 card slots into. I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to design that. Now with the dual card slots, they'll probably be SD cards. I'm assuming UHS 2, which should give it a leg up on the Sony side of things, as the A7 III only has one UHS 2 slot, the other one is a UHS 1 slot. Again, with a camera body similar to that of the EOS RP, we're not going to have the top-down screen. It'll just have that second dial there, which honestly, I don't use the top-down screen all that much on the EOS R. I'm pretty much doing everything either through the viewfinder or through the rear LCD. And speaking of the rear LCD, it will have that vari-angle display similar to all of the more recent Canon cameras. One of the rumors that we had heard before that seemed pretty much confirmed at this point is that it'll shoot at 12 frames per second using the mechanical shutter and up to 20 frames per second electronic. You know, even though it's not specifically going to be marketed towards sport shooters or wildlife enthusiasts, this camera is going to do great for those kinds of markets. It's also rumored to be coming with a newer, larger battery. Now that we have regulatory filings in Japan from the new battery that's going to be coming out, which I did a video about before, so go ahead and check that out. We're definitely going to be getting that new 2100 milliamp battery out of Canon, which should give this camera about 15% more capability. Now, as far as announcements, this camera was supposed to be announced in May at Photokina and then released in June. But since I'm going to assume that Photokina is either going to be canceled or curtailed, and production has really been slowed down at all the major manufacturers as a result of this global pandemic, you know, we're not really sure what or when we're going to see this type of camera. I would assume it'll still be in the summer. And my assumption is that we're going to see pricing around $2,000. Now, so far, a lot of this is rumor, but a lot of the rumors have been correct because we're pretty sure they're being leaked directly by Canon. Part of that is as a result of this global pandemic, trying to keep the market interested in their cameras, but also because honestly, they don't want anybody to switch while they're still finishing development and production of this model. So that's it on the EOS R6. Which should be our entry-level full-frame camera into the mirrorless world, kind of replacing maybe the EOS R or positioning itself somewhere between the EOS R and the R5, and really giving us more of a fully rounded lineup on the mirrorless side for Canon. Again, still expecting an R7, an R1, and potentially some APS-C cameras in the mirrorless world that aren't in the M line, but are coming with that RF mount. So let me know down in the comments whether or not this camera at that price point seems interesting to you. If you're a Sony shooter, let me know if this is, you know, pushing you to switch, or if you're a Canon shooter that was thinking about switching to Sony, is this going to keep you in the Canon family? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like videos like this, go ahead and hit the like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm that you like this video, and it really helps my channel quite a bit, so I really appreciate that. Also, I do a lot of videos on my channel outside of these kind of rumors and news videos, but they don't always get as much attention. So I just want to kind of put a plug in there for some of the vlogs and some of the photo videos that I've done, some of the how-tos, and some of the mountain biking videos down there that I've got on the channel. So go ahead and check that out. I've got a whole playlist on adventures and mountain biking, so go ahead and check those out and let me know what you think. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram over there at jblakePhoto. Again, I've got photos from my trip to Zion National Park, which was a ton of fun, as well as my trip to Maui. And again, my Europe trip got canceled, but I'm definitely gonna have some more stuff coming soon. Thanks so much. Again, stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside if you can. I'm gonna be staying inside, not doing a whole lot. Might do some mountain biking out in the woods where I'm just by myself, and that'll be it. So thanks a ton, and I'll see you in the next one.